back in Yakandanda. We're doing ute testing for 2026. And we have a Kia Tasman. We have a Ford Superduty Ranger. We have the D-Max.
Now this is the latest model D-Max with a 2.2.
It is. And we have the new Hilux.
Now what's different about the Hilux, Josh?
Well, it's certainly facelifted. The front styling of Hilux is quite different to the previous model. And there's been some significant improvements in the interior as well. But let's kick it off with the Tasman. Okay, there's no hiding the fact that the styling of the Tasman's a little bit challenging. It's not everyone's cup of tea. However, put that to one side, there's actually a lot to like about this vehicle, and it's pretty interesting to have a manufacturer entering this dual cab ute market with a sort of clean sheet approach. And what we do see is some pretty interesting features, some innovations that we don't see in some of the other more established manufacturers. The tech features in this vehicle are pretty impressive, but one of the first challenges is actually starting it. The automatic shifter is actually on the right hand side, and it can be obscured by the steering wheel. So finding it in the first place is a bit of a challenge. We've got our engine start-stop button down here. And then we simply shift by twisting this knob. And push for park. Beautiful integration with the screen, massive long screen which extends from the center of the cab all the way through to straight in front of the driver. And there's plenty of examples of just how well this tech has been integrated into the vehicle. One of the features we really do like, and bearing in mind this is a mid-spec level vehicle, inductive charging for 2 phones in the center console. There's a lot of room in here because you've got no shifter. Electric handbrake too, so that frees all this space up. And yeah, it's really quite well laid out and appointed for a mid-spec level. It's not too often you find 60/40 fold seats in the rear of a ute. And this is really handy because if you put a child car seat on one side, you can still access underneath the seat on this side. I've never seen so much storage space under the seats in a dual cab ute before. Similarly on that side as well, great big storage bin. There is literally tons of leg room too in the back. So it's actually a really comfortable vehicle to spend any time in the back, even for an adult. One of the vehicles we're most keen to put through its paces is Ford's Superduty Ranger. So this is a beefed up version of Ford's standard Ranger. Wider wheel track, bigger tyres, bigger diffs, all in all a toughened up version of the Ranger. And it's obviously aimed fairly and squarely at the Land Cruiser ute market. Potential buyers of those vehicles are going to look to these because there's a much greater towing capacity of 4.5 tonnes and all up GVM of, I think, 8 tonnes. That's a serious amount of mass that you can shift in this vehicle. And while it uses the Ranger's V6 engine, the power plant has been derated a little bit. Not sure why that is the case. It's certainly not a ball terror in terms of power stakes, but I suppose it remains to be seen fuel economy wise. We'll put that to the test and see how thirsty it is too. Inside, well, it's pretty stock standard Ranger, so it'd be familiar to anyone who already has a Ranger. And yeah, there's a lot to like about how it's laid out. Massive center screen, a good screen in front of the dash there. And yeah, simple things like having rubber floor mats, rubber floor in a high-spec vehicle makes cleaning it out very easy. It's a very comfortable vehicle to drive on the road, and while it's large, that hasn't been an impediment to it in the off-road testing as well. So yeah, it has a sort of a stature on the road that we really like, and yeah, very comfortable to drive. So one of the more significant changes with the D-Max is the power plant. New 2.2 litre diesel engine. And it's got a lot to live up to because the D-Max has always had a pretty good reputation for reliability and its miserliness on fuel. So we'll see if this one performs in the same way. Okay, so the interior, not a lot of changes here, but you know, some people might appreciate the what is becoming an old school feature now, a key that you can put in the key barrel. And a manually operated handbrake, God forbid. Look, it's got tech, but the screens are quite small. You know, that really, I suppose, below standard size, the screen, and the center screen in between the instruments there, it's getting a little bit too small to read, especially if your eyesight's on the way out. But a lot of familiarity in here, and it's a very logical layout, pretty quick and easy to find your way around this vehicle. Always a popular inclusion in our ute testing is the Hilux, and while it certainly looks different from the outside, there's been also some improvements in tech features on the inside. It's basically a facelifted vehicle, but you know, the screen's nicer, great screen in front in the dash. A few little things we like. Cruise control buttons now on the steering wheel, hallelujah. Electric handbrake, probably not so good. But hopping in this and taking around the test track, you know, it feels like putting on, you know, a familiar old pair of shoes or something. It's a Hilux, performs like they always have. And there's a lot of confidence that comes with driving one of these off-road as well as on-road.